Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. This video is about the possible parliamentary coup against Theresa May. So she's Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, in case you didn't know, having taken over in July 2016. So yesterday it came to light that some people in the Conservative Party are plotting against the Prime Minister. There have been rumours about this for some time, but it's now out in the open, and they've declared, yes, we would like to unseat her. There's a group within the Conservative and Unionist Party called the European Research Group, and these are hardcore ideological Brexiteers. Perhaps the luminary of this group is the Honourable Jacob Rees-Mogg. So why are they trying to defenestrate Theresa May? Well, they think that the Chequers principles that she outlined, which will be the basis of her agreement with the European Union, is completely unacceptable, is limp-wristed, and would be giving away far too much, that it would be almost as bad as remaining within the European Union. So that is their ostensible reason for doing so. Could they not otherwise pressurise her to change her mind, to tear up those Chequers principles? And by the way, the European Union's negotiating position is the Chequers principles did not go far enough, did not give the EU enough on various things. No, you've got to have free movement, and no, if you want to be part of the single market and so forth. You have to accept the rulings of the European Court of Justice, and you have to accept all these regulations to trade within our market, and so on. And the position of all EU immigrants within the United Kingdom must be guaranteed right now, without the EU reciprocating and guaranteeing the status of British citizens who live in other EU member states. But there may be an ulterior reason for this putative parliamentary putsch at this moment. Boris Johnson, well, he's always got his eye on the top job. As his sister, the journalist Rachel Johnson, said, since he was a toddler, he fantasized about being world king, and this is closest to that as he can get. So he's trying to get up the slippery pole. So Bojo is a barrel of laughs. He's also allegiance and cares only about numero uno. Boris Johnson's divorce has just become public, 25 years married to that left-wing barrister Marina Wheeler. The divorce appears not to have hurt him. An opinion poll shows that over 60% of people think that does not rule him out as Prime Minister. His constant philandering, his affair with Anne McElvoy way back in about 2002, and numerous others. So this might be a last desperate gambit from Boris Johnson. This possible attempt to unseat Theresa May is why Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, has suddenly proved helpful after stonewalling for a year and a half and just reacting. No was his default setting, saying no to any proposal from London. It wasn't good enough. Anyway, this attempt to kick out Theresa May will not work. It lacks critical mass. The European Research Group's only got about 50 members of Parliament, and how many Conservative members of Parliament are there? About 325. So it won't work. He who wields the knife never wears the crown. That's what Michael Heseltine said in 1990, just about the time that Theresa May was kicked out in November 1990, largely by him. And he said he thought it was some famous historical quotation, but he accidentally invented this bon mot. Well, really, it was Sir Anthony Mayer who brought down the Iron Lady. So Boris Johnson and the Honourable Rees-Mogg, even if they did manage to get Theresa May out, they wouldn't be leader. That's what the dictum says. I'm not absolutely sure that the dictum always holds true. People say, oh, the Conservative Party punishes disloyalty. I've heard other academics say that's nonsense. You know, they got rid of Thatcher, and then Heseltine became Deputy Prime Minister. Or Ian Duncan Smith, when he was seen to be dead in the water 2003, he was drummed out. Boris Johnson was one of those who said he'd get down into a ditch to defend Duncan Smith, and he then subsequently knifed him. And there are more examples of the Conservative Party being ruthlessly focused on winning elections, and they will dump a leader the moment he becomes a liability. I think back to 1995 when John Major was fed up with this constant carping from his own backbenchers and launched his back me or sack me gambit, which is whereby he resigned as leader of the Conservative Party, not as Prime Minister. He forced a leadership election. The only person who stood against him was John Redwood, and was seen as a swivel-eyed loon, completely devoid of the common touch. And as Major was short in the charisma department, that really was saying something. So about 3/4 of Conservative MPs voted for him. No change, no chance. That was Redwood's slogan. But this is not the gauntlet being thrown down by the Prime Minister. It's some backbenchers trying to get rid of her. So it's going to go off too early, go off half-cocked and demoralise them. And the Conservative Party does not want to go back to that period from 1997 to 2005 where there were biannual leadership contests, or so it seemed. The party's a flat spin. No big beasts are going for this. Boris Johnson has not so far put his hat into a ring. Perhaps he senses that it would not work this time to bide his time. The moment may be ripe a little bit later. So Davis is a bit like Theresa May. He's a charm-free zone. Theresa May, they're always saying that she's a very serious person, went into politics for her deep-seated beliefs. But what are these bedrock beliefs of hers? She never articulates them. She doesn't come across as a conviction politician, more of a pragmatist, but she's certainly not a showgirl. Some people go into politics, Bojo would be one of them, Jeremy Thorpe would be another, partly because they are exhibitionists or attention seekers, one could say. Although at least with Thorpe, he did have some core beliefs. He was actuated by some ethical causes, such as anti-apartheid. Who are the other people who have been tipped as leadership material in the past? Michael Gove, Dr. Liam Fox, Andrea Leadsom, Crabb, Philip Hammond, but they're all on Team May, and there's no sign that they are going to turn on her. So the Remainers will stay on her side, and not many people are absolute Remainers these days in the Conservative Party. Some of them propose a second referendum. The moderates will gather around people who wanted to remain, except that the UK is going to leave, or some of the leavers who said, we're going to leave and we may not have the full Brexit we wanted to. So that's why I think May would almost certainly win a leadership contest. At the moment, there wouldn't even be enough MPs to trigger such a leadership contest. But even if the leavers won, would they get a Brexit agreement that they find palatable? Probably not. The EU might react with two fingers. They could leave without any agreement. Some of them don't want to leave without any agreement. So I really don't think it's going to work for them. So they'll probably be penalised with their own party. The moment Labour's tearing itself apart with this anti-Semitism row, and yet more examples of some despicable things that Jeremy Corbyn has said and done have come to light. And if the Conservative Party were not squabbling with itself, there'd be more media focus on Labour's travails. Oddly, the Liberal Democrats do not appear to be benefiting. You think when the two major parties are in disarray, that the Lib Dems would come up in the polls, but that's not happening. Partly because of the completely ineffectual leadership of Sir Vincent Cable. He was hailed as such as a messianic figure several years ago. He's best known for his drone strike of a remark on Gordon Brown when he's Prime Minister. He's gone from Stalin to Mr. Bean. But Cable has just not connected with the public and has not stirred any media interest. So I think this putsch would backfire on these hardline Brexiteers. It will make the Brexit more EU-friendly than before. Then May and the EU will feel that the real hardliners in the Conservative Party have been sidelined and can do some sort of agreement like that. So I suppose the EU might like to bed down some agreement that is to their taste so that it cannot then be reversed. As a Brexiteer, I would like to hurry up and do Brexit so it can't be reversed. But obviously I'd rather have a different sort of Brexit than the one that Brussels and Strasbourg would consider to be acceptable. So that's that. Don't expect a change of leadership anytime soon, partly because the Prime Ministership is a poisoned chalice at the moment. Quite difficult. Who else? People talk about Theresa May leading the party into the next election and beyond. I don't see it happening myself. She'll survive till after Brexit, maybe a year or two beyond that, but she will not lead the party into another election.